This all started when I thought it'd be really funny to turn my globe sideways. So it was sitting across the room, and one day I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, that looks like a crescent right there. So if that's a crescent, and that would make the circle like this big. So if that was the crater walls of a impact site, right, of a crater, then that would make the crater like this big. And so the center of that would be right about here. So I'm like, well, but which way was it heading if it did, something did hit there? And so I'm another day, a couple months later, I'm looking at trying to figure it out, and I noticed that the Mediterranean lines up with where the center of this circle would be. So a couple more months go by, and I'm trying to figure out, what the hell happened here? And I'm like, well, I gotta see what is on the seafloor. So I need to look at maps of the seafloor. And so I noticed that Google Earth has maps of the seafloor. And this is what I found was this thing, which looks like, if you could see it, looks like Pac-Man. All right. And the mouth of Pac-Man, if you go through the middle of it, if you go through the middle of the V, it lines up perfectly with the Mediterranean. So like, if that's the V, right, like this, and it's not a complete circle, but the eye of it is actually better resolution. It's just a square of, I think there's some sea vents there that they mapped at a higher resolution than the rest of this area. So anyway, you can also see that Hawaii points right towards it. And all the tectonic plate boundaries seem to go along with the discovery also. And this line right here is actually the plane of the ecliptic also. So anyway, you can just see what I did. And originally I thought that somehow when it hit here, it made a big glob of whatever go up into the air and land over here, which is Australia. But actually, when something hits, and I think this hit at an angle, and if you look at it, it's like on Google Earth, it's like here, and then you can see lines coming down like this, right? Where it started to touch like that, and then started going into the earth, and it would get wider and wider and wider till it got like halfway in. And when you're playing pool, how if I was to hit it this way, the ball would go that way. But if I hit it over here, the ball goes that way. So what I think happened is once it got halfway into the earth, it just took a dive that way. Went underneath the surface of the earth, pushed this all over, and this is going like this, these plates going away from each other. Pushed what this used to be over here, but it got pushed over here. And this is an ejecta of the impact, because when something hits it, like a drop coming out of the water, it just comes back. It's called ejecta. Anyway. That's it.
There's the 3.8mm right there. Be working.
So anyway, there's where it started hitting over here.
I know you guys ain't going back in time to that fucking shit where it hit.